Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Isaiah chapter 40 begins what some would call the second book of Isaiah, in that the theme dramatically shifts. And it seems to be speaking to people of a much later time than the people that Isaiah had been speaking to earlier. And chapter 39 seems to set up this whole section as it predicts a time in which Babylon would carry away a lot of the people from Jerusalem and Judea. And chapter 40 onward through chapter 66 is really all about comforting the people. And there's a lot of messianic promises made, a lot of words of encouragement for the exiles and for those who would undergo the exile in the future, and really an encouragement to just hold on, to hold fast, especially those who were the faithful remnant, to just hold on, hold fast, and to wait on the Lord and to trust in the Lord. And certainly that's true of chapter 40, which concludes with this whole idea where it talks about those who wait on the Lord, or those who trust in the Lord, will find new strength, and they will mount up on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow tired. They will walk and not become weary. And so this had direct application to those who would be in the exile situation there in Babylon. But it also applies for us as well, in situations in which perhaps we are fainting along the way. Maybe we're dealing with some very difficult situations, and not only are we having to deal with these situations for an hour, or for a day, or for a couple of days, or even for a week, but maybe these problems go on for months or even years. And we just get tired maybe sometimes of dealing with these same situations. Maybe it's someone that we have a difficult personality that we have to deal with, or maybe it's some type of financial problem or problem with our marriage, or whatever the case may be. But as time goes on, we just begin to become tired and wore out. Well, Isaiah 40 can give us some principles that can help us in those type of situations. And really, the focus is on trusting the Lord. And the climax seems to be the end of that chapter, where he says, "Why do you say, O Jacob, and assert, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and the justice due me escapes the notice of my God?" Why are you saying God doesn't seem to see what's going on? And sometimes that's our reaction to situations that have drug on for a very long time. Does God see what I'm going through? Does God really see my situation? But he goes on to say in verse 28, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not become weary or tired. His understanding is inscrutable. He gives strength to the weary, and to him who lacks might, he increases power. Though youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly, yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary." So here's a promise of strength for those who place their trust in the Lord, who will just wait on the Lord and say, "I know the Lord is going to do something for me. I know that the Lord is working out something good in this situation. I know the Lord not only has something in the future that he's working out, but also even presently, he can supply me with the strength. He can supply me with the power, the ability to get through this situation," and just placing that trust in the Lord. And those who place their trust in the Lord in that way will overcome, and will even transcend the situation that they are dealing with. And so that's a promise that we have from Isaiah. It was a promise made to the exiles, but in principle, it's a promise made to us as well. Well, one might say, well, I have trouble trusting the Lord because of the fact that this situation has gone on for so long. How can I find strength? Because I can't even seem to really pull myself together enough to trust in the Lord. Well, that's where the previous passages of Scripture in chapter 40 helps us out, because Isaiah here helps us to remember some things about God, and particularly the greatness of God. In verses 12 through 14, we see the greatness of God in his wisdom. Just a sample of that is found in verse 14. With whom did he consult, and who gave him understanding, and who taught him in the path of justice, and taught him knowledge, and informed him in the way of understanding? Verse 13 says, who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, or as his counselor has informed him? In other words, God's wisdom is so great and so wonderful that none of us can really give him instruction or try to counsel him or try to tell him how he should get on with ruling the universe. His wisdom goes far beyond anything that we can comprehend. But also he's great over the nations. His greatness is over the nations. In verses 15 through 17, it says, behold, the nations are like a drop from a bucket, and they are regarded as a speck of dust on the scales. Behold, he lifts up the islands like fine dust. Even Lebanon is not enough to burn, nor its beast enough for a burnt offering. All the nations are nothing before him. They are regarded by him as less than nothing and meaningless. They're like a speck of dust on the scales, like a drop in the bucket. These mighty nations that we think about, we think are so powerful. We could even think of nations these days with the nuclear weapons and things like that. To them, they're nothing. Or to God, I'm sorry, they're nothing. They're like a speck of dust, like a drop in the bucket. God's greatness surpasses even that of the greatness of powerful nations. And he's greater than other gods. Verses 18 through 20 focuses on that, talks about the fact that really an idol is just a man's work by man's hands, cannot compare to God. Also, if you go on to verses 21 through 25, we see that he's greater than the rulers. It says in verse 23, he it is who reduces rulers to nothing. He makes the judges of the earth meaningless. Scarcely they have been planted, scarcely they have been sown, scarcely has their stock taken root in the earth. He merely blows on them, and they wither, and the storm carries them away like stubble. And so all the powerful people that we come across, especially the rulers that are maybe in charge of those nations we talked about previously, they're like stubble. They're not anything. The Lord can blow on them and they'll just wither and go away. God is much powerful than any person that we might contact on this earth. And then his greatness is manifested in the fact that he's the creator. Lift up your eyes on high, verse 26 says, and see who has created these stars, the one who leads forth their host by number. He calls them all by name because of the greatness of his power and the strength of his, because of the greatness of his might and the strength of his power. None of them is missing. And so God is greater than all these things. He's great in his wisdom. He's greater than the nations. He's greater than other gods. He's greater than the rulers. He's great because of the fact that he's the creator. Because of all these things, because we know of the greatness of God, it makes him trustworthy. And we can trust in his power, in his sovereignty, in his greatness, and recognize the fact that even though things might seem bleak, even though things have been maybe carrying on for some while, we can just keep on trusting in the Lord, trusting in his greatness, trusting in his majesty, trusting in his sovereignty over the situation. And when we do that, we will be supplied new strength, and we will be able to transcend and rise above the difficult situations that we find ourselves in. So let's be encouraged to trust the Lord today, and let's use Isaiah 40 to help us do that. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.